What is up, everybody?
Hey, how's it going?
We are back with some more Resident Evil 9 discussion videos. And one thing that we wanted to talk about today is Raccoon City and the truth behind Raccoon City. What are we going to be finding out in Resident Evil 9 Requiem that we don't know that they're going to unravel in Raccoon City? There's so many layers to Raccoon City's story, and there's so many, truths that we might find out that weren't there before. So what are some thoughts, John, that you have, starting first, of maybe some things that they could allude to with changes with Raccoon City? Are you also kind of scared they might kind of hurt some of the legacy that Raccoon City has left behind? What are your thoughts now, thinking that we've had about a week since the last recording session?
Yeah, so I always worry when they go back and change things or retcon things. I'm a little scared that they're going to try to put Mother Miranda in Raccoon City, but that might be a little visceral because there's no evidence that they're going to do that. So it might just be oh God, I could see them doing it, and that would really be negative. I would disgustingly hate that.
Yeah.
However, we know that Adam Benford, who was the president right before the events of RE6, where ultimately Leon has to shoot his zombified body, was going to reveal the truth of Raccoon City, which is why Simmons had him killed and why the virus spread and all that. So my hope is that this is the big reveal that the government was buying from Umbrella.
Covering up.
Something we already as fans know.
But
the public of that universe does not know. So that would be my hope, is that this is going to be the secret of Raccoon City, is that this FBI agent, Grace Ashcroft, daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft, news reporter for Raccoon City and beyond, is going to uncover. That would be what I think they're going to do. Do you have any theories, though, if that's not what they're going to do? What do you think what would be your scariest theory? The thing that you would be the most disappointed in? And what is an outlier that you think would be interesting?
I think probably the most disappointment would be something that have to do with Miranda or Village, or with Miranda and Spencer. I think that a theory that I could have is more connected to maybe, we're going to find out more layers of maybe the Umbrella Lab. Maybe there might be some more stocked away BOWs or stocked away weapons that we don't know about.
Yeah.
So that maybe I would be more in favor of maybe Grace discovers something underneath something. It's even further down than where the nest was, and maybe it's leftover BOWs or leftover, and that's maybe why we might be fighting familiar BOWs. If we do, this is just speculating, but my theory is that I think this game is really going to try to maybe knock on that theory a little bit more, that there's way more to this that was left behind than we know, and not everything was exactly destroyed the way we thought it was. So that'd be my in favor, versus just all right, it's connected with Miranda, and then we have some other stuff thrown in here and there where it's just kind of pasted together. I would not want them to do that. You know?
Well, if there is anything under Raccoon City still, it would have to be still active.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't active, there's obviously there are organisms they have to eat. So anything that would be down in that lab would be dead.
That's true.
Unless they were hooked up to incubation tanks and they were being kept alive for these last 20-something years.
That's kind of where I was leading into, is maybe there's somebody that is keeping this thing going secretly. And I think that would kind of tie into more of how you connected to the original Raccoon City with those familiar enemies and stuff like that. You can have new enemies and stuff, and we're going to talk about some of that coming up in these videos. But I think that having those callbacks, connects with the fans, but it's also something for, other people to experience for the first time through Grace's eyes, vicariously going through her experience. Because even if new players played the remakes and they know what a Licker is like, or a Hunter, well, now you're playing you're playing the game as Grace, so you're experiencing these monsters for the first time. So it's almost like you're kind of living your rookie Leon day all over again. You're kind of going into it for the first time, so she's going to react accordingly. Or again, if you tie in some Raccoon City survivors into this game somehow, that would also be a nice throwback to see them fighting some of those familiar creatures.
Yeah, like Death Island, they fought Lickers. They were different Lickers, but they were still modified aquatic Lickers.
Exactly.
And to your point, they have put a big emphasis on they want you to experience it through Grace. Grace is going to be breathing heavy down hallways, jumping at things. She's very much a rookie, like the rookie Leon in a way. So that makes sense. It would make sense that they would be able to retread old ground and kind of let her deal with things for the first time, which we're probably going to get zombies of some kind.
I hope so. I really hope so.
So that's already something we haven't had really new for a long time.
No. A long time. If you don't count the remakes, I mean, we haven't had zombies since RE6, like traditional zombies in Leon's campaign only. The rest was Joavo and everyone else that, you know, that came at you were different types of enemies after Leon's campaign. So, yeah. And then before that, Resident Evil Code Veronica. You had Outbreak as well, but in the main line of Resident Evil 3. But if you count the spin-offs, really Outbreak was the last like zombie traditional game.
If you're talking about traditional zombies for sure, because Granados and Wavo and Maginis, they are zombies by definition.
Sure.
But they're not flesh-eating zombies the way that the Resident Evil 1 zombies were.
The Romero-esque zombies.
Exactly,
So that's why I'm just kind of like, you know, it kind of makes me think now that we're having this discussion of like, you know, different layers of Raccoon City that they can unravel. And I think one of the biggest things is like, you know, who is the man in the chair? That's the biggest thing now is like, what are they going to show and what are they not going to show, right? So like they always do this thing where they keep stuff close to the chest, but then they show some stuff and then they show more stuff and then it gets us talking. So I think at the end of the day, like whoever that is in the chair, and like you said, we're going to get into that in another video. I think that might be who might be taking care of some of these things or who might be trying to, you know, kind of get to this, you know, we're going to expose the truth or we're going to get down to the bottom of it, you know, with what Grace is pursuing because of the murder of her, you know, murder. We don't know if it was a legit, you know, murder or she was taken, right? As they say, if she was taken or experimented on, we don't know. But whatever this investigation is going to lead into, I think that truth of Raccoon City is going to come out. And I think Grace might be in charge of letting that be known to the public. I think that's going to be a huge part of the game, maybe towards the end where, you know, that the truth comes out finally. And it's going to come with a lot of other things that happen just because of that. It's not like it's going to be an easy thing.
Yeah. So. And I don't know if this has ever been directly stated, but another truth of Raccoon City that I could see could be that when Umbrella knew that they were kind of going to be exposed because the stars got too close to the sun, you know, maybe the truth is going to be that the American government didn't just authorize the missile strikes, didn't just buy weapons from Umbrella. They were the ones who purchased the combat data and purposely released extra monsters into the city
to get that extra data,
to get the data before they were going to sterilize it. Resident Evil's got a long, extensive lore history. I could totally see that being something that's been speculated on or talked about before in the past.
Definitely.
I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case. It was, you know, obviously like the rats and the accidental infection and stuff like that. It's not like Wesker's dropping hunters off like he does in Code Veronica.
Yeah, no.
But they do send the tyrants in, right, to protect secrets. So kind of already in that in that realm of possibility, I wonder if the really real truth is going to be the American government ordered bioweapon testing on the civilians that they knew were already going to die. And that's what maybe Benford got killed for, because he was going to release that information as well.
And that was going to be throwing the U.S. under the bus for assisting Umbrella in that.
Or
that's a good idea. Yeah.
Leon doesn't even know that. And that's going to be the really real truth. And that might end up being what Leon is going to be used for in the game if he does appear. Which he may not.
He may not.
But if he does, that would be an interesting angle to take.
That would be. Yeah, and especially getting him involved in that because he works so close with the government.
And he's such good friends with the presidents.
Absolutely.
Most of them.
Yeah.
So we know of it.
That we know of, yeah. So, yeah, that's a good point. I think these are all great points of, you know, just different things they can do with Raccoon City. They said that they were reluctant to go back to Raccoon City because of everything they have to connect. So they definitely were thinking of past things they've done and how they can make it fit. So we're curious to see, what Capcom does here with the story, and we really hope that it's just written better, it's connected better than what we had in 7 and 8 personally. I know people like 7 and 8, that's fine, but for us hardcore fans, it didn't really connect to the old games like we would have wanted it to. So 9 being, this callback, this passing of the torch, this 30th anniversary, going back to Raccoon City, we really want to see a fulfilling conclusion to this Raccoon City era, if you want to call it that, or this old story that was, this kind of book has been left open for years, and now we're finally going back, and the past comes back to haunt you sometimes, and that's kind of where they're leaning to for this,
And I'll admit, it might be a little naivety on my part to think that Miranda is even in the question of conversation of being put back in here. It's just a fear I have because of I'm PTSD'd out over Village, right? Not to put PTSD lightly over a video game because it's not that serious, but like I am very pissed about what they tried to do with the end of Village. I think that in theory it could have worked. It just Village and 7. Honestly, the concepts of Village and 7 are a lot better than the execution. And I do like 7, and I do think 7's a great spin-off game. I don't think it's a mainline game. I think Village is atrocious either way, which there's the horse. Let's beat it. That's not why I'm bringing it up though. This whole idea that like the fixed camera angle trilogy goes into the over the shoulder trilogy, goes into the first person trilogy. I don't really, I think the tradition that's being broken here is that I don't think 9 is going to have anything to do with Village and 7. I agree with
I
don't think it's a trilogy.
No.
I think it's the Ethan Winters family duo.
That's done now after Shadows of Rose.
This is a brand new arc.
Yes.
It's going to have nothing to do with it other than maybe a connection file here or there.
Right.
Whatever.
And then
maybe Spencer's diary or something says something or whatever.
Other than Nakanishi making this another first person as well, as well as third person this time, but other than Nakanishi being involved, I don't think that 9 will even be remotely connected to. I agree completely with what you're saying.
I don't think Raccoon City and the fact that they went their separate ways when they did meet in the mountains, from what we do have, Spencer wasn't interested in the mold. He wasn't interested in that level of immortality. He wanted a different immortality. He didn't want to live forever in the Mute of My Seat. It wasn't what he wanted. So there's no reason for any of that other than maybe I met with this person in Romania, blah, 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 blah. She was a whack job. I don't like her. Whatever, so I went my own way. If there was a file, maybe there's a lab. That's another thing we always think about. Spencer's the one organizing all this research. He's the one that's scrubbing names from Umbrella's history. All the 9, right? We have no evidence that he's in Nest 1 or 2. So what Nest was he in?
Yeah,
he's not even in the Arclay lab.
Right. So is there another lab somewhere in the city, which is kind of what I was saying earlier, like that we don't know about, that we might uncover more files and stuff like you just mentioned? Because the biggest thing that, to what John was saying to his point is Village was just shoehorning stuff in to the lore just through files very lazily. Yes. And I think that's our biggest gripe with Village story-wise.
Yes.
Because, I just think...
Yeah, I have more than just that. I don't know what my biggest one would actually be.
Sure, I don't want to speak for you.
I'm just saying
collectively, people are like, why do they keep coming back to Village and the story?
Collectively, I think that is the one that is the most embarrassing.
And offensive.
For sure. I could agree with that, for sure. But it's the only reason I say I'm hesitant to say it's my biggest problem is because it is such a small part of Village.
That's true.
I think, and I think I speak for both of us here because we just talked about this, but our biggest issue probably with Village is the way Chris was handled.
Absolutely.
I think that's a bigger issue.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the ending now. So another thing that we could say with this Raccoon City stuff is a lot of people are like, well, are we ever going to find out what happened with BSAA and why it's corrupt?
Yeah.
Who knows? Because Capcom sometimes just completely drops that shit and doesn't continue it. We've been really trying to unpack all of our thoughts and our feelings, and we love to hear what you guys have to say. So let us know in the comments what you think of Raccoon City and what truths we might find out.
And what your theories are.
Yeah, theories too. Yeah,
what do you think? What do you think is the speculate in the comments. What do you think is the really real truth? Do you think it's going to have to do with the government? Do you think somebody else is going to be behind it all along? Do you think it has something to do with the identity of the person in the hood or the person in the chair if they're not the same person, which I think they are, but if they're not, was it Anthony and I behind Raccoon City?
Yeah, did we mastermind the whole thing?
Are we actually 800-year-old vampires?
Yeah. We're just back.
That's where I was really hoping Village would go. I wanted it, which they kind of did with the...
Yeah, they kind of...
The sisters were insects.
Yeah.
And the Delmatresque lived for a long time, but I was really hoping that, like, a vampire cult of bioweapons was going to be Village's story. And then we got
Lycans
mommy milkers for a few hours,
Yeah.
and then the rest of them, and oh my
Lycans
god,
and
the rest
everything
of them.
else. Yeah.
Which the enemy design in Village is great. I like most of the enemies in
Yeah.
Village.
The house leaders, you know,
Moreau.
Yeah,
I'm just
not-
gonna tank this.
Yeah, yeah.
Which Ethan was improved in Village. He was.
He was.
Ethan was improved. Maybe we should do a video one day that's just the things we did like about Village. It'll be short.
Yeah.
But we do like. There's some stuff that's pretty good.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, it's and again, if you like it, that's fine. We just have a lot of problems with it for our own reasoning.
You're not wrong for liking it.
No.
It's just a difference of opinion.
No, and if it brought you right here to check out 9 or check out the other games,
I'm
that's what
happy
it's
with
about.
that. That's what
Exactly.
it's about. Everybody, all the fans.
So yeah, let us know in the comments all your theories and discussions, and we'll keep this RE9 discussion going. And we'll see all of you guys in the next video. We got some more lined up.
Peace.
Peace out.